שבת אחים גם יחד.
Let's light up the world, oh sisters and brothers, together with peace and love. Bring light to the world, oh brothers and sisters, and sing Hine Mador.
שבת אחים גם יחד. שבת אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We come to the refreshment of Shabbat. It was on the seventh day that God rested, and it was good. And however our week has been, filled with work or just getting out of the heat, now is a time we come together to get a break from all of that, to center ourselves and prepare ourselves for the weeks and the days ahead. And so we begin with bringing light into the darkness of the world as we prepare our Shabbat candles on page 120 in our prayer books, using the page numbers in the brackets. And we invite Suzanne Smiley to join us on the bima.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue with the Kiddush on page 123. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon, hinkilanu, zikaron lemase, v'reishit, ki hu yom tekilah, lemikrae kodesh, zeker litziat mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinkaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. L'chaim. Make sure you've greeted everyone around you and wished them a Shabbat Shalom. Please be seated. We continue on page 126. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine us all and to bring that vision to life. Turn to page 134.
You know, and before we sing that, I think it might be nice actually to read the translation, because we've been singing it a couple of times now, and it's still kind of new, but it's really particularly beautiful, I think, the way the music echoes the meaning of the words. So let's all read it together. Sing praise to Adonai with the lyre,
with the lyre and melodious song, with trumpets and the blast of the horn.
Raise a shout before Adonai, the ruler. Let the sea and all within it thunder, the world and its inhabitants. Let the rivers clap their hands, the mountains sing joyously together at the presence of Adonai. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and its peoples with equity. Zamru Adonai Bechinor, Bechinor v'kol zimra, Bechatzotrot v'kol shofar, Hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai, Zamru Adonai Bechinor, Bechinor v'kol zimra, Bechatzotrot v'kol shofar, Hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai, Yiram hayam umlo, Tevel veyoshveva, Neharot imcha uchav, Yachad harim yiranenu, Yiram hayam umlo, Tevel veyoshveva, Neharot imcha uchav, Yachad harim yiranenu.
We welcome the Sabbath bride, Lecha Dodi, page 138, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'lei Shabbat lekarela, yalada
Turn to page 146 to welcome in our Shabbat.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamivorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamivorach leolam va'ed.
Page 149. We read together in the middle of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim.
Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha avta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbeinu v'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai echad Baruch Shem Kevod
Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed. Please be seated. We join together in the V'ahavta on page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levavka u'v'kol nafsheka u'v'kol meodecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzaveka hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechteka v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, Adonai Elohechem Emet. In the middle of page 157, we read responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
נאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב ובגלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We continue with Vishamru, a song for Shabbat, on page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת
we turn to the Tefillah, beginning with words that you can find on your song sheet and on our prayer daf, and then continuing on pages 166 and 168. Please rise. Open my eyes to truth, open my hands to give freely, open my lips to good words, to pure words, open my heart to love. Open my eyes to truth, open my hands to give freely, open my lips to good words, to pure words, open my heart to love. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Open my lips to good words, to pure words, open my heart to love. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mikayeh Hakol, Atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mikakel Chaim Bechesed, Mikayeh Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somek Noflim Berofek Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Mika Mocha Baal Givurot, Ubido Melach, Melech Memit, Umekayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahakayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mikayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimka kadosh, u'kedoshim b'kol yom yahalaluka selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. Page 175. We read together. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'odcha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. A Song for Peace, Shalom Rav, page 178.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Ki Adon Melech Adon lechol hashalom. Nasim Leolam. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom.
We continue with our own private prayers. Tonight we are blessed by having a Devar Torah from one of our members, but I wanted to take a moment now for me to offer some reflection and action regarding Israel. This past week, the Israeli Knesset narrowly passed a law along party lines, removing much of the checks and balances provided by the Israeli Supreme Court. This is part of a widespread plan of judicial reform to reshape Israel as ultra-Orthodox and right-wing. Rather than try and change everything at once, Israeli leaders have begun to chisel away at the fragile government power structure piece by piece. By ending the checks that the Supreme Court has provided over the years, they can enact new laws, eliminating the rights of minorities, including women, Arab Israelis, progressive Judaism, Jews by choice, and the LGBT community. And they can exempt ultra-Orthodox men from military service and double the number of settlers in disputed territories. Israeli writer Yossi Klein Halevi has called the leaders of this attack on democracy as political zealots, religious fundamentalists, and the merely corrupt. The 5 major Israeli newspapers ran in unanimity complete black pages on the front of their daily papers the day after the vote to symbolize the dark day for Israeli democracy. While the current situation is dark, we still find hope. The people of Israel have responded by staging mass protests over the last 6 months, with Israeli flags flying everywhere among hundreds of thousands of Israelis of all demographics. They blocked major transportation arteries, shouting, "Shame on you," and singing, "If there is no equality, we will topple the government. You've picked the wrong generation to topple with." The outpouring of protest across the country shows that possibility is still present. Sometimes when rights are taken away, we more clearly recognize their value, and it galvanizes a people in response. America is struggling with its own incremental lurching towards legalized discrimination and zealotry. Here and in the Jewish states, we must channel our anger to action and our frustration to possibility. As Israeli Reform Rabbi Rinat Safina noted, Hatikva tells us hope is 2,000 years old. There are things each of us can do in this moment. First, we should stay informed. Make sure you are reading about the situation in Israel and read from a variety of sources. Stand up for Israel, not by demonizing the whole country because of the actions of its current leaders, but advocating for rights, democracy, inclusion, and change. There are local protests here in the U.S. supporting democracy where we can voice our beliefs with our feet. Put pressure on American leaders to still support Israel while using our influence to voice the values we believe in. The actions of the current government of Israel represent only a narrow slice of the Israeli people and divides the Jewish states from most of the Jewish community worldwide. We can support explicitly pro-democracy organizations such as IRAC, the Israeli Religious Action Center, and those speaking to create an inclusive Israel, such as the IMPJ, the Israel Movement for Progressive Judaism. Links to these and other groups will be in Wednesday's e-blast. As my classmate Rabbi Neil Gold shared, love for Israel and her people demands that we fight for her freedom. We learn in the Talmud, those who have the ability to protest the conduct of members of their own house and do not do so are held accountable for the behavior of the members of their house. We know what it is like to see a country pass laws marginalizing and isolating, removing core values in democratic process. Now more than ever, we must support the ideals that our country should represent. We should learn, support, wave the Israeli flag, and protest out of love, to stand up for the values of Judaism and democracy, and to create a better Israel ahead. The words of Hatikva still speak to us. As long as the Jewish spirit is yearning deep in the heart, with eyes turned toward the east, looking toward Zion, then our hope, the 2,000-year-old hope, will not be lost, to be a free people in our land, the land of Zion and Jerusalem. Shabbat Shalom.
So this week was also the time that many traditional Jews observe Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, which is the day that the Second Temple and supposedly the First Temple also fell, always remembered as the day when the worst possible things happened to the Jewish people. And it is interesting that all of this is sort of happening at the same time. It makes us think about the importance of Israel and about its fragility. And so I thought of Kihine Kachomer, the idea that we are like clay in the potter's hands. And on the one hand, there's only so much we can control, and on the other, there is indeed, as the rabbi said, so much that is in our hands. So please turn to your prayer sheets for Kihine Kachomer, and we'll sing the first 3 verses together. Kihine Kachomer Beyad HaYotzer Birtzoto Mechiv Uvirtzoto Mikatzer Ken Anachnu Beyadcha Chesed Notzer Laberita Beit Ve'al Tefen Layetzer Kihine Ka'even Beyad HaMesatet Birtzoto Ches Uvirtzoto Mechatet Ken Anachnu Veyadcha Bechayeh U'Memotet Laberita Beit Ve'al Tefen Layetzer Kihine Kagazel Beyad Hecharash Birtzoto Dabek Laur Uvirtzoto Beirash Ken Anachnu Beyadcha Tomech Ani Varash Laberita Beit Ve'al Tefen Layetzer.
We continue the reading of the Torah on page 364. We invite George Shapiro and Amy Geffen Shapiro to join us on the Bima. Please rise.
Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, ki mitzion גדלו לאדוני איתי, ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. לך אדוני הכיבוד
Please be seated. Torah portion for this week is Ve'et Hanan, the second portion in the book of Deuteronomy. It has such famous passages as a repeat of the Ten Commandments and the origin of the Shema and the beginning of the V'ahavta. But we'll be reading from the beginning of the portion, chapter 3, verse 23, as Moses continues what he does throughout the book of Deuteronomy, making lots of speeches. And we're delighted to have Julie Alexander as our Torah chanter this evening and offering the Torah blessings tonight. We invited Monty Silberger and Linda Freitag. If you'd like to follow along, it's in the Torah commentaries under the seats in front of you on page 1188, the beginning of the Parsha.
Baruch Adonai Habarach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Bet Hanan El Adonai ba'et hahi lemor. Adonai Elohim, Ata hachilota leharod et avdecha et godlecha ve'et yadcha chachazaka asher mi'el bashamayim uva'aretz asher ya'aseh kema'asecha v'higvurotecha Hebverana ve'er'eh et ha'aretz ha'tovah asher be'ever hayardin hahihi lemor hato achar hatov hazeh ve'achalanon.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lo Torah Temet V'chayei Olam Nota B'tochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen.
Tonight we celebrate with Monty and Linda as they celebrate their 8th anniversary. And as you bring blessing to so many, we offer this blessing. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless the two of you. You bring joy and meaning to this world and to your families. May you keep finding the joy and meaning in each other's lives, and know that as individually you are each so amazing, together you bring much more brightness and beauty into this world. Amen. We share in a blessing for healing and hope. Healing comes in many forms, but we seek that peace, that wholeness in each of our lives and the lives of those around us. In our temple community, we're especially thinking of Elaine Wall, Joan Lipton, Arlene Green, Roberta Traeger, Jody Ann Herman, Rochelle Weinberg, Don Levy, Larry Bloom, Arnold Gilbert, Barbara Gilbert, Jane Levy, Brenda Levinson, Debbie Ball, Scott Scheidlauer, Karen Davidowitz, Renee Weisbaum, Bob Rosenblatt, Samuel Pokart, Fran Herman, David Haney, Asher Silverman. And we add to these names that are meaningful to each of our hearts. If there's someone you're thinking of here in our congregation, we ask you to share the name out loud. And for those joining us in the live stream, to add those names of people you're thinking of into our chat. Share together a blessing for healing. The words can be found on your prayer sheets.
Mishbeirach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Limotenu, source of strength, give us courage to make our lives a blessing. Refuah Shlema, and let us say Amen. Mishbeirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel, comfort, healing, body, spirit, refuah shlema, and let us say Amen.
Amen. As we lift and dress the Torah, please rise.
V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei
the Torah to the Ark with the words on page 374, and we invite Aaron Levinson to join us up on the bima.
It's Chaim Hi, Lamachal Zikim Ba, V'tom Cheira, Meushar, Diracheira, Dor Chilom, V'chol Netivotecha, Shalom, Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai, Elecha Velashuva, Chadesh Yameinu, Tekedem.
Please be seated. Sharing some words to our congregation tonight, we invite up Judy Williams.
He stole my thunder. Half of what you said I was going to say. He stole my thunder. Half of what he said earlier was in my little speech here, but that's all right. It's how Hashem works, you know. Hello, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I am Judy Williams. I'm a proud member of Reformed Temple of Forest Hills. Last night, was the end of Tisha B'Av, which, as folks know, I hope no one heard earlier, is considered the saddest day in the Jewish calendar. Apparently, we lost the second temple and the first temple on that same day. And if folks read any of the Torah portion this week, well, maybe I read this somewhere else. It is actually the day that the spies went into Canaan and came back with a terrible report and were assigned 40 years. So 9th of Av is just a bad day. If you're born on 9th of Av, it's a miracle and you're great. It's the opposite. See how it goes? Okay. So in this week's Torah portion, what happens is, I'll just give you the brief synopsis before I go on with what I'm going to say. Moses, yet again, is repeating himself. Okay, this is chapter 4. I believe the text has 31 chapters. He's doing it again from chapter 4 all the way to the end. He even got a little rap at the end. It doesn't matter. He's like really honing in on this idea of don't forget, right? Remember what happened, right? This was the Exodus. Here we are now. Here's what happened between the Exodus and now. Hey guys, remember? This is what happened at the Exodus to now, right? He keeps repeating that. And the reason for that is because, right, we know that over the course of 40 years, we don't have the same people that left slavery that are about to go into Canaan, right? There's this like desire, this need, actually this command that we have to remember what we need to remember and also forget what we need to forget. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to just point out, I don't know if folks know this, but did you know that the full name of Tisha B'Av is actually Menachem Av, which means comforting parent? So it's a very sad month, and yet just the very name of it implies this like notion of there being comfort just embedded into it. Tisha B'Av is actually one of my favorite holidays, as is Yom Kippur, top 5 for sure. Partly because I live a generally dark existence, but also because it's a moment that gives us a reason to just be sad. I think what our society likes to do is we like to pretend that everything is fine when we know it's not. So sometimes you'll ask folks, how are you doing? And they'll say, okay, because it seems like the right thing to say, right? Like, who really wants to hear about all the stuff that's going on? But with Tisha B'Av, because we're Jews and we've thought of everything, we are allowed to just be upset, and people will understand. If you're one of these people that's like read The Secret, and you're like, I don't believe in being negative, give it 6 hours of fasting, and I promise you will be miserable. Just give it a chance, okay? So I want to start off by telling a story about a guy by the name of Rabbi Akiva. I don't know how many of you know him, but one Rabbi Akiva is pretty famous. He's a member of a group that we'll call the Sages. They're kind of like the Rat Pack, but it's with rabbis. And to be clear, none of those rabbis is Sammy Davis Jr. Okay. So let me tell you this quick story. So picture it. We've got 4 rabbis walking along a road in ancient Rome, the Roman Empire. This is right after the destruction of the temple, and the people, of course, are distraught, right? This was the center of our community. This was Judaism, right? The temple, this is who we were, and it's gone. He's walking along, and his friends, let me tell you their names, because I forgot their names, I'm sorry. We've got Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Yehoshua, and yet Rabbi Akiva, and Rabban Gamliel. So these guys are walking along. And in the text, it's a story from the Talmud. In the text, it tells the story of these guys walking along, and way, I mean, imagine we're here and we're like talking, we're in like lower Manhattan, right? Way off in the distance, they can hear the sound of the Roman multitudes just being happy and living their lives, right? Like what has happened means nothing to them because they just won, right? They won, we're just here. So imagine now you're a rabbi, right? If you're a rabbi, that means the temple is really important. You're walking along and you're hearing joy from the people that just stole from you, right? Just like literally destroyed your people. So the sages start crying, and Rabbi Akiva starts laughing. And they're like, for what reason do you laugh, Akiva? Which is Talmud for, bro, why are you crying? This is not funny. And he says, well, why are you crying? And he says, think about it. He says, if these Roman degenerates, these murderous, he doesn't use these words, but in mine, right? These Roman degenerates who just destroyed our lives get to have this type of joy, how much more joy are we going to get because we've done what God has told us to do? Yeah? So this Rabbi Akiva, it's like, oh my gosh, they said something like, oh, you've gladdened our hearts, Rabbi Akiva. Oh, he's amazing, right? This perfect rabbi, feels no pain, everything just comes to him. He's like Moses, right? He just understands. It's not what happened. He's a person. In my version of the story, Rabbi Akiva probably went home, he cried, he threw things, he like bought stock in Amazon ashes, right? Bought like tons of sackcloth and just like, right? He has all this stuff going, he's yelling, he's screaming, he's like snarling at people as they walk by in his mind, right? Staring at their happy children, just pissed off. But then at one point something goes off, there's a light bulb for him, right? And he's like, well, wait a minute, let's get a grip here. What do we know for a fact? What we know for a fact is there is no temple. Whether I keep crying or I sit in the corner and rock back and forth, nothing's going to change that. There is no temple. But what did God promise? Like, why is there even a temple to begin with, right? Like, we had 2 of them. He designed it twice, and we built it twice. What was the purpose of that, right? There's something else going on there. Is it because now if there's no temple, there are no Jews? Well, we know that's not true, right? Well, I mean, we're in a temple, but not the temple, right? We know that that's not what's happening. What he remembers is promises from God. And we get a lot of them in this actual Torah portion that we have from this week in Va'etchanan. He's thinking, okay, I need a new plan. I clearly need to start from scratch. I need to remember some things, I need to forget some things, and I need to move on. Whatever the moving on looks like, whether it's you just doing something new or whatever it is, you need to move on. So he thinks and he says, what do I remember? What's important? Well, as it turns out, he remembers that when you're moving on, for us, you only take as much as you can carry. And how do you carry the temple in your pocket? Well, it turns out that we have a few things. One, we have the Shema, right? This text, we have the Shema. We have the notion of the mezuzah, right? We have, what else did you say? We have the Ve'ahavta. Right, we've got all these things, these amazing things, these technologies that we can carry with us wherever we go. So my apartment has a mezuzah. I don't know the first thing about the temple, right? But I'm Jewish. I remember these things, right? We say the Shema, we do all of the things that matter because we pack light. We have to, right? Like our ability to forget things and remember things and move on and pivot is why we've survived. So when he says, imagine how much happier we're going to be when God realizes that we've done what he's told us to do. What has he told us to do? Well, the 10 Commandments are also in this Torah portion. It's all there. It's packaged. And maybe that's why he's laughing. Like, oh my gosh, there's a cheat code. I didn't even it's here, right? We can move on. So I want us to think about what are the things in your life that are maybe falling apart right now? Sometimes when life is upended, it can feel like this is it. We're done. If anybody ever watched Sanford and Son, it's like it's the big one, right? Like this is it, right? It's not, and we know that it's not because we're still here. And I say we, I mean we as Jews, right? We're still here. The object is we have to remember the 10 Commandments. Remember the Shema, right? Remember the things that actually matter, and the rest of the things will come together on their own. As long as we're able to pivot and we need to move on and forget the things we need to forget. So Moses like keeps going on. He's like, don't forget the commandments, and also don't forget slavery, but forget slavery, right? Like you have to remember and forget at the same time. And we're great at doing that. We're great at remembering things that help us move on and then forgetting them once we've moved on, such that they don't hold us back, if you will. So I want us to think for this week about maybe what's going on in Israel is front of mind for many of us. I know I have other things in front of mind because, like I said, I live a dark, sad existence. What is it that we're going to do? Right? Let's pretend this is our second temple period. It's the end of the period. What are we going to put where the temple used to be, metaphorically? What will that be? What action are you going to take? Are you still in sit back and rock back and forth and gnash teeth? Great. But remember, actually the title of my Devar Torah is The Art of Being Miserable. So in order to be successfully miserable, you actually have to do something with the misery. So once you're done crying and wailing and throwing things and yelling at Romans, remember that we have to move on. We have to take action, whether that means you're praying, whether that means you're signing petitions, whatever it means for you, we have to do a thing. It's a command. So I'll give you the tips for remaining miserable and being miserable successfully. One is stop and remember what God promised. He's promised a lot of things, but I think chapter 4, the Torah portion kind of sums it up pretty well. I mean, the whole chapter. Chapter 4 does a pretty good job. Forget what you need to forget. There are things that don't serve you that you keep remembering. They're only going to serve you insofar as you use those things to move you forward. So what is it you need to remember? What do you need to forget? Now that you've done those things, what is the next thing you're going to do? What's your pivot? Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
One of the things we do when faced with the sadness of the world around us is to not think that is all there is. And sometimes we need reminding that even in our own darkness, others have light. And light can shed and share and brighten up other rooms. And so we take some time to share some lightness that's happening maybe in your life. A simcha, a good thing that's happened to you or your family in recent days or is just up ahead. If something's happened, you want to share a simcha, just raise your hand as I come over to you, tell us your name and what good thing is happening in your world.
My mom's home from hospital. She's healing slowly.
We got to visit our son and daughter-in-law and our granddaughter in Philadelphia this past weekend.
Hi, I'm Linda Freitag, and we're going to be going next week to visit Jules in Richmond.
Hi, I'm Scott, and last week I said that the next day I was going to take the subway to Manhattan and go to the movies, and I did. I did it all by myself. Fortunately, someone gave me a seat to come home because I live so far away. And then Wednesday I walked over to the Midway and I saw Barbie. I recommend it highly.
I'm Madeline, and it's my birthday next week.
I'm Gwen, and my son Aaron is back from camp.
My name is Solomon. I'm happy to begin my Eagle Scout project.
My name is Jason, and I'm happy Troop 139 had a successful week at Camp Kiowa and 10 Mile River.
Okay, my name is Edward, and for the first time, I will be going to Fort Hamilton for a special event.
Hello, my name is Suzanne Smiley, and I had the opportunity to go to the Sassoon exhibit at the Jewish Museum this week with several of my friends, and I think we had a good time. And I learned that King Charles loaned a lot of the gifts that the Sassoon family gave over the years to the Jewish Museum. He was kind enough, they wrote to him, and he was kind enough to send some of the gifts. Of course, they got to return it to the Jewish Museum. And I also learned that the Sassoon family funded the transportation of the Jews during World War II into England.
My name is Leah, and I'm having I'm happy because I got 3 turtles.
What are their names?
One is Kimmy, the other is Steve, and the last one is Toribio.
I'm going to remind people to not make me go back and forth so much.
My name is Arlene. I met a new friend in the laundry room this week, and she lives downstairs from me in one apartment over, and she happens to be a home health attendant, so it's good to know if I ever need somebody in an emergency that there's a qualified person living right downstairs.
My name is Susan. I went to about 6 movies in the last 4 weeks, and everyone had superb air conditioning.
And I'll add on behalf of Temple, what a wonderful turnout we had at Mini Mitzvah Day on Sunday. People of all ages coming and making a difference in this world all together. This month is a special month for many people because it's your birthday month. So if you have a birthday in the month of July, we invite you to join us up on the Bima. Well, you get to come on up. Oh, there you go. You've got company. So we join together in celebrating those birthdays and wishing our best to those who are having a special month this month. Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach. Happy birthday. And if you stay up here and help us with the ark as we turn to the Aleinu in our concluding prayers, beginning in the middle of page 586. Please rise. Adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kekol hamonam, vanachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Please be seated. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. We celebrate the lives of those we love, those we miss, those who are always part of who we are, and help us each day to remember the values and blessings that fill our lives. This week marks the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Michelle Bomser, Alexander Brown, Wilma Kagan, Ronald Cohen, Faye Davis, Charles Drossman, Bobby Ennis, Morris Friedman, Dan Geffen, Jack Glazer, Solomon Glazer, Evelyn Gottesman, Charles Hollander, Nancy Horowitz, Jonas Kasowitz, Charles Kaufman, Esther Kozlowski, Adele Kulik, Sylvia Kutcher, May Lashinsky, Norman Levinson, Midwest Lobel, Jerome Lorber, Donald Mayer, Sylvia Mayer, Lillian Michaelis, Harry Moggetts, Ludwig Morgenroth, Max Mueller, Miriam Chevelle Moraskin, Joseph Robb, Florence Rich, Rachel Pace Rosen, Robert Rosen, Lena Rosenthal, Carol Saltz, Louis Scharf, Dr. Maxwell C. Scherzer, Maxwell M. Schwartz, Bernard Shapiro, Doris Shaw, Carol Sluitt, Rose Slotkin, Philip Stern, Samuel S. Tripp, Sidney Weinreich, Abraham Weinstein, David C. White, Irving Wilkin. If you are observing a yahrzeit or recent loss or have someone particular on your mind at this time, we invite you to share their name out loud with all of us here in the sanctuary or on our live stream in the chat. For all those we missed today and every day, we join together in our mourner's Kaddish, page 598, as one community. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, be'amah devra chorutei v'yamlik malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'galav v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivarach Le'olam Amei Amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shmei D'Kudisha Baruchu Le'ela min kol birkata v'shirata tushbekata v'nechamata damiran be'amah v'yamru amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yamru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort every broken heart. And let us say, amen. Amen. Please be seated. Some words of welcome to our congregation. We invite up our temple president, Seth Diamond.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi and Cantor, for giving us spiritual sustenance on this last hot July Shabbat. And thank you to Joe, Bonnie, and Mark for raising our spirits, but keeping us at just the right temperature with your beautiful music. And thank you, Judy, for your inspiring words to help us through life's difficult moments that we all face. Mazel tov to Monty and Linda on the occasion of their anniversary, and thank you to both of you for sponsoring tonight's Oneg. August is right around the corner, and next week we will be convening outside for our Twilight Shabbat. The service will start at 6:15, and in the best news, the weather app on my iPhone says it will top out at a cool 77 degrees next Friday. Let's hope that holds. Also, don't let the summer heat cause you to forget to place your Rosh Hashanah honey order. You have only till Tuesday to get free shipping with your order. Details on how to do that and many other items can be found in your e-blast. And with August about to start, one can have the feeling that summer is racing by. As one commentator I read said this week, back to school advertising has started to show up in my feed, and it's depressing. Summers lasted forever when I was a child. Now they hurtle past, express trains bound for shorter days and hard shoes. But we shouldn't let the fast-passing days of summer distract from the enjoyment of the season. One letter writer to the Times recently offered that we should be thankful for the glory and fascination of summer and all it brings to us. Life is indeed short, and nature is not easy. But nature is beautiful, and it fills our lives with wonderment and joy. If there is ever a time to stop, relax, look at the clouds a bit, and daydream, it is a bright, warm summer day. So before summer gets away from you, be sure to spend some time looking at the clouds, relaxing, and daydreaming. Shabbat Shalom.
To prepare for some opportunity to celebrate together as a community and share in some delicious nosh, we join in our motzi. And why don't we have our newest turtle owner join me up here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, b'tei avon.
B'tei avon, bon appetit. Careful with that knife. And we conclude with Adon Olam, which is on page 625. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Le'ein Na'asa B'chefto Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nivra Ve'acharei Bichlot Adon
Tzor kevli beit Sarah, vehu nisi umanos li menat kosi beyom ekra. Beyado afkid ruki beit ishan ve'aira. Adonai li velo ira. Shabbat Shalom.